Okay, let's set a scene. It's late. 10:43 p.m. You're lying in bed. The room is completely dark except for the blue light of your phone, just illuminating your face. You've just read a comment, and it's aimed right at you.
We have all been there. It's such a universal feeling now.
It is. And let's be clear, this isn't constructive feedback. It's not a reasoned counter-argument. It's an attack, pure and simple.
And your body just reacts.
Instantly. It's physiological. Your heart starts beating a bit faster. You feel that heat in your neck, and your fingers are already hovering over the keyboard. You've got the reply ready to go. It's sharp. It's witty. It's going to completely dismantle this person.
You're ready to hit send. You feel like you have to.
Yes, you need to. But then you pause.
That pause, that tiny, tiny moment is everything we're talking about today.
Exactly. You hesitate, and it's not because you think you're wrong or because you're scared of them. It's because this little voice in the back of your head just asks one question. Should I say this right now?
And that's such a profound moment. Because in this deep dive, we're looking right at that split second. It's not about social media etiquette, really. It's a battle between two huge internal forces.
So it's about when silence is a sign of strength and when it's just, hiding.
When it's just avoidance. And we've got a great set of sources today looking at this through a Stoic lens. We're talking Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, but applying them to this very modern problem.
So we're going to get into the psychology of why we have this burning need to be right, why it's so hard to just stay quiet, and how you can tell if your silence is genuine wisdom or if you're actually just ducking for cover.
And this is where it gets really nuanced, because you always hear that cliche, right? Silence is golden.
Yeah, of course.
But the sources we're looking at, they really challenge that. They argue that sometimes silence is the opposite of a virtue. Sometimes it's just cowardice. So our mission today is to figure out how to tell the difference.
Okay, let's unpack that. Let's go back to that 10:43 p.m. feeling. Why is that impulse to hit send so powerful? It feels physical. It's not just, I disagree. It feels like I have to fix this reality now.
Well, it feels physical because, biologically it is. The psychology of it, it comes from this really deep-seated human need to be understood.
To be understood, not to be right.
Well, they're connected, but we hate being misunderstood.
Right.
When we see that attack, that comment that completely misrepresents us, our first instinct isn't reason, it's contraction, it's reaction. It's this desperate urge to repair our image.
So it's about my image, not even the truth of the matter.
It's about survival, if you go back far enough.
Yeah.
The source material talks about this primitive root. In our evolutionary past, if you were excluded from the group, that was a death sentence.
Right. The tribe kicks you out, you don't make it through the winter.
Exactly. We don't have saber-toothed tigers anymore, but our brain still processes that loss of status or that public misunderstanding as a direct survival threat.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So when some stranger on the internet gets my point wrong, my brain is firing off signals that say exclusion imminent, death imminent.
That's why the adrenaline starts pumping.
Yeah.
Silence, in that moment, feels like you're accepting defeat. You're accepting the exclusion. And that leads to what the source calls the parallel conflict.
The parallel conflict.
Yeah, you're basically split in two. There's part A of you, the primitive brain, that is screaming to prove you're right, to protect your identity, your ego. But then there's part B.
The one that paused.
The one that paused. And that part knows the debate is probably pointless, and it just wants to protect your peace.
But part A usually has the microphone and the megaphone.
It really does. And this is where Seneca comes in. He had that famous line about anger being temporary madness.
Yeah.
He warns that when you speak out of anger, you get this feeling of catharsis.
Catharsis, like a relief, like scratching an itch.
Yes, exactly that. It releases the tension inside you, but it almost always escalates the situation outside of you. So you might win the argument, but you lose your self-control. It's a very high price to pay for 5 minutes of feeling better.
That's the difference between relief and resolution. Hitting send is relief. It almost never leads to resolution. I don't think I've ever seen a Twitter argument end with, wow, we really bridged the divide there.
I think it's safe to say no one has. Epictetus put it really simply. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak.
Right.
But he wasn't just saying shut up. The Stoic idea isn't about suppressing yourself.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the dichotomy of control.
Okay, break that down for us. That's a huge Stoic concept.
It's the foundation. Basically, some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. Is the other person's opinion in your control?
No,
Is their rudeness in your control?
definitely not.
Is the fact they are wrong in your control? No. But is your reaction to it in your control?
Yes, okay, I see where this is going.
The moment you hit send to fix them, you are trying to control something you can't. You're tying your own inner peace to the behavior of a total stranger. That's a recipe for misery.
But here's the thing, and this is the social trap the sources mention. The world we live in right now, it doesn't reward part B, the quiet part. It rewards part A. The algorithm doesn't care about your peace. It cares if you're engaged.
That is such a crucial point. This algorithm of noise we live in, it's designed to measure interaction, not calmness. If you don't post, you basically don't exist in that space. Silence looks weak, or worse, indifferent.
Oh, totally. I feel like pressure. If there's some big controversy blowing up and you don't say anything, people start asking, so why are you being silent about this?
Whose side are you on?
Exactly. In a polarized world, silence is automatically suspicious. If you aren't yelling, you must be hiding something.
It's that pressure to pick a side. Society loves the fast responder, the person with the immediate hot take, and the source makes a great point here. We're afraid that if we don't reply, the other person wins.
Or that the audience, all the people watching, will think we just don't have an argument. It's the fear of letting them have the last word.
Which brings us to Marcus Aurelius. I mean, he was the emperor of Rome, so he knew a thing or two about public opinion. He basically said that the value of a person isn't found in what other people say about them. He called the praise of the crowd the clacking of tongues.
Clacking of tongues, I love that. It's so dismissive.
It is. He's just saying it's all noise.
Yeah.
But, and this is where we have to be realistic, reputation does have real-world consequences. We can't just pretend it doesn't matter at all.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I mean, if my boss lies about my work in a group email and I just sit there being stoic, I might lose my job.
Exactly. In a professional setting, silence can be costly. You might keep your inner peace but lose your livelihood. So the challenge isn't just to ignore everything, it's to navigate that tension between your inner state and your external reality.
Which leads us to what our notes call the existential drop. And this is the part that honestly made me rethink my own behavior. Because it asks this really uncomfortable question. Are we just telling ourselves we're being stoic and rising above it when actually we're just scared?
This is the dangerous nuance, because silence has two faces, and they look identical from the outside. Face number one is autonomy, self-control. You choose not to engage because you know it's pointless. That is strength.
Okay, that's the goal. What's face number two?
Face number two is fear. You don't speak up because you're afraid of the judgment, you're afraid of the backlash, maybe you're afraid you aren't smart enough to win. But, and here's the trick, you call it keeping the peace.
Ouch. That hits a little close to home. It's like saying, oh, I'm not going to dignify that with a response, when what I'm really thinking is, if I respond, they might come back even harder, and I don't want to deal with that.
We all do it. It's a self-deception mechanism. We use philosophy as a shield for insecurity. So the source gives us a kind of litmus test to tell the difference.
Okay, let's hear it. How do we know if we're being a sage or just a coward?
You have to be brutally honest with your own motives. Ask yourself, if I stay silent, what is the primary emotion driving that choice? Is it wisdom or is it fear?
And how do you tell?
If you're silent because you want to avoid hurting someone else, or because you can see that speaking will just pour gasoline on a fire, that is probably wisdom. You're trying to de-escalate.
Yeah.
But if you're silent because you don't want to be judged, or because you're afraid of the trouble it will bring you, that's probably fear.
So wisdom protects the peace, but fear just protects the ego.
Or the comfort of the ego, yeah. It's okay to admit, you know what, I just don't have the energy for this fight. That's honest. But don't dress it up and call it moral superiority.
That distinction is so important. Stop lying to yourself about why you're being quiet. Okay, let's make this practical. We have some scenarios here that I think will resonate. Let's start with this one. The office meeting. So you're in a meeting. A colleague, let's call him Dave, is getting criticized by the boss. But it's unfair. The boss has the facts wrong, and maybe Dave isn't even in the room to defend himself.
Yeah, a really high-stakes moment. Your heart rate is probably shooting up again.
And the choice is, silence keeps you safe. You don't tick off the boss, you don't get in line of fire. But is that stoicism?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
In that case, silence is complicity. Marcus Aurelius talks a lot about justice. He says injustice often lies in what you don't do, not just in what you do.
Ah, that's a key distinction.
It is. Justice is a cardinal Stoic virtue. If you stay silent just to avoid getting involved when you see an injustice, that's not a virtue. You're basically abandoning your duty. You're putting your own comfort above the truth.
So in the meeting, speaking up, even though it's scary, is the Stoic choice.
Correct. Because the value you're upholding is justice, and that outranks your personal comfort.
Okay, scenario 2, the internet troll. This is our 10:43 p.m. situation. Someone is just trying to provoke you. They don't care about truth, they just want a reaction.
Here, the whole dynamic flips. Silence is power. By responding, you're giving them exactly what they want. Your time, your energy, your frustration. You're playing their game.
Right, you're feeding the troll.
You're feeding the troll. Epictetus would say, not every insult deserves a response. In fact, responding suggests that the insult actually landed. If a child calls you a silly name, do you write a long essay defending yourself?
No, hopefully not.
No, because the insult has no weight. It comes from a place of immaturity. Silence in this case says, this is beneath my notice, this doesn't affect me. It's a refusal to play a useless game.
So in the meeting, silence was weakness because justice was at stake. With the troll, silence is strength because only ego is at stake.
Context is everything. It's about knowing the difference between a real battlefield and just a mud pit.
Okay, what about scenario 3, the online mob? A huge controversy is happening. Everyone is shouting, hashtags are flying. You don't really know all the details, but you feel that pressure we talked about to just say something.
This is the fear of missing out, but on a moral level. We speak just to signal, hey everyone, I'm a good person, I'm on the right team. But the question is, do you actually have anything of value to add? Or are you just adding to the noise?
Usually just adding to the noise.
And this is where Stoicism prizes truth. If you stay silent because you admit to yourself, I don't actually know enough to have an informed opinion on this, that is profound wisdom. That is intellectual honesty.
It takes guts to say, I don't know, when everyone else is acting like an expert.
It's a radical act today. To say, I'm sitting this one out until I understand it better, is a deeply Stoic choice.
But this brings us to the cost of Stoicism, because we're talking about this like it's easy, but in the moment, it can feel awful.
It really does. Silence isn't free.
Not at all. The source material is very honest about this. Doing the right thing by staying silent when a troll attacks you. It can feel like you're swallowing poison. You feel like you let them win.
That is the trade-off. It's a steep price. You have to be willing to lose in the eyes of the crowd. You have to be willing to let someone else think they beat you.
That is so hard for the ego. The ego wants to win.
It's the hardest part. But you're trading that external victory. The likes, the dunks, the feeling of being right for internal consistency. You're maintaining your own character.
So the question really is, am I speaking to clarify the truth, or am I just speaking to soothe my own bruised ego?
That's it, exactly. Stoicism is not about being liked. It's not even about avoiding conflict. It's about not betraying yourself. If speaking would make you petty or cruel or angry, then silence is the only way to save yourself, even if it looks like you lost the fight.
So sometimes you have to lose the battle to, save your soul.
That's maybe a little traumatic, but yeah, essentially, you're preserving what the Stoics called your reasoning faculty from being corrupted by anger and vanity.
That really reframes the whole midnight scrolling thing. It's not just don't feed the trolls, it's don't poison yourself.
And don't sell your peace for a cheap hit of dopamine, which is all that angry reply really is.
Okay, as we start to wrap this up, I want to end with this final thought experiment from our source material. It's called The Question Without Salvation, and for me, this was the most powerful part of the reading.
This is a great visualization. I want everyone listening to actually try this. If you can, just imagine a world where nobody is watching. No social media, no likes, no audience, no one to judge you.
Complete and total invisibility.
In that world, no one will ever know if you're right or wrong. No praise, no blame. In that total invisibility, would you still speak up? Or would you stay silent?
Wow. Yeah, that changes everything.
Doesn't it? Does your choice change when the audience is removed? Because if you would only speak up when people are watching, you're not speaking for the truth, you're speaking for the applause.
And if you'd only stay silent because people are watching,
then you are silent out of fear, not out of wisdom. You're afraid of what the audience will think.
It just strips away all the excuses. It forces you to look at the real why behind your actions. It takes the performance out of it.
At its core, this isn't about defeating other people. It's about being honest with yourself. That's the real Stoic practice.
So the next time it's 10:43 p.m. and your heart is pounding and that finger is hovering over the reply button, just pause. And ask yourself, am I speaking for the truth or am I speaking for the audience?
And if the answer is the audience, maybe just put the phone down.
Sleep is probably the better choice. Thanks for this duck dive. We'll see you next time.